guys, welcome back to another video. This is Motivation for Young Christians.
Yo,
Welcome back, welcome
welcome
back.
back. Today we have a very special interview with an amazing organization called Dominican Talk, and we have an amazing group of people here to talk about Dominican Talk, the impact they're trying to have on Rutgers, and the inspiration behind this organization. So I'll let you guys introduce yourselves.
So my name is Joshnelly. I am a public administration major with a minor in social justice and entrepreneurship, and my role is a president and one of the co-founders.
My name is Brian. I am the vice president. My interests are real estate, gardening. I was a public administration major, and thank you for having us.
Hi, my name is Samantha Gonzalez. I am the media marketer for Dominican Talks. I am a marketing major with a concentration in leadership and management.
And my name is Jeremiah Lunis. I'm a finance major and I'm a treasurer.
Let's start off with the first and most important question. What is Dominican Talks?
I could start off by saying what it started. So Dominican Talks is a student-led organization on campus, and our goal is to first educate and embrace our culture, not only as Dominicans but also as people of color. And then we also focus on empowering the community through different events and different opportunities. And then the last pillar is fostering community, whether that be through dialogue or team bonding events.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Dominican Talks is an organization that is big on self-awareness as well as working in a group, because a lot of the times people are so polarized that they don't know how to come together, let down the barriers. And so Dominican Talks creates that space for others to come together, cooperate, communicate, and also just have fun.
Moving into our second question, what was the inspiration behind creating this organization?
So as one of the co-founders, I could say it started from the girls that started the group. We were in a women of color discussion, and while we were all discussing, we realized that the experiences we were sharing had a lot to do with the fact that we were all Dominican. And then at the end of the dialogue, we met up after the event and exchanged contact information. And one thing led to the next. We met up, we spoke about our experience, and we spoke about some of our challenges as Dominicans, people of color, a lot of us looking different, different skin colors, different hair types, and how all of that played into our identity and how we maneuvered around the world. So we thought it would be cool to create a space where we could learn more about our culture, our history, and have others join in while we learn and while we do events. So a safe space for us to finally not have to put up a show of who knows the most, and just being let's talk about the different conversations about where Dominicans come from, why the Haitian beef between Haiti and Dominican Republic, and also having to do with colorism, discrimination.
What year was Dominican Talk from?
In 2019.
In 2019. Just a quick follow-up question. So since you started in 2019, what impact did the pandemic have on this organization?
Yeah, so I would say some of the challenges that we faced, especially starting during COVID. First, the main issue was, as an org, especially the way we started, it was just an idea. It was the main challenge was solidifying a mission. What was going to be the goal? How are we going to benefit the Rutgers community? And then the second challenge was spreading the word. And then once the pandemic hit, because the pandemic hit in 2020, so that was March. Really, it was because we had only had 3 months in as being an official org. We just had to convert everything online, start marketing. And usually when you're on campus, you could hang up flyers, spread the word by like talking to different people. We had to like use our followers to kind of spread the word. We had to start making a lot of TikToks and Reels, and we also had to find a way to do online events. So we were doing a lot of like IG live parties. We were doing game nights on Zoom, like movie nights on Zoom and stuff like that.
I was still in high school when I created that. I know you touched on some of the struggles dealing with the pandemic, but pre-pandemic, what were some of the struggles in creating Dominican Talks?
It was, like I said, like finding the mission and like honing in on what would be the goal. So that's why I said like those 3 pillars, like educating, embracing our culture, and then fostering community. So honing into our mission and then spreading the word, because I was just a freshman. Most of the co-founders were freshmen. Only one of us was a grad student. So we were just coming in, so we had to find different people. And then for the grad co-founder, her name is Jennifer Mate. Most of her friends had already graduated, so she was already a grad student. So it was really finding different people that would resonate with the community.
Moving into our 4th question, what made you interested in being a part of Dominican Talks?
So I'll start. I'm a commuter, so I was definitely looking for a community where I could learn more about my culture, my roots, but also find a space where I felt safe to discuss certain topics. I feel like Dominican Talks is a organization where we talk about certain things or certain parts of our culture that a lot of the times at home you don't talk about, which I think is really important at school, because there are definitely times where you feel like, I want to talk about this, but I don't know how. So I think it's really important, and that was important for me when trying to find an organization to join, to be able to speak about these topics and have a space where I could trust in the individuals that I'm coming into and joining and attending events with. And we do a lot of events that are fun, but we talk about serious topics as well, which is why I was like, you know what, I'm just going to join, and I think that's basically why.
For me, honestly, my first semester on campus, I already had my friends. I already figured out pretty much who I was and I was going to hang around. But at the beginning of my second year, I decided to maybe branch out a little bit and try to meet new people, because usually when I find my people, I stick to them, I stay in my community. But actually, I met Joshnelly at the club showcase, and she put on one performance. She was really convincing during her recruiting session, and that just got me in as a member of the organization. But when I started basically interacting with the organization, I really saw what they're about, and I saw Dominican Talks as something I really wanted to be a part of, and I joined the board.
Yeah, so prior to joining Dominican Talks, I was part of the debate team, and so we always had very intellectual conversations. You know, we're always talking about some high-level stuff, and so once the pandemic hit, debate became really rough. We weren't traveling as much, and so we were doing our debates from a hotel room. So all of that became very unsustainable. I didn't want to do it anymore, and afterwards, I found out about Dominican Talks through Joshnelly, and I started going to more events, and all of the conversations they had were on par with the conversations we'd have in debate, right? It's very, like I said, all about self-awareness, right? Like, who are you? I remember I went to a event called Are You Roots, and one of the main questions they asked is, or one of the main ideas they problematize is that idea of being too white for, you know, your cultural side and too cultural for, you know, your other side, right? And so, for example, they were talking about being too...
Are you Latinx enough?
Yeah. So what was the...
So in that event, it was called Are You Roots, Are You Latinx enough? And even though a lot of the people that came were Latinx, like there was a lot of people that weren't from the Latinx community, like Ryan being Guyanese, and so everyone resonated, because growing up in America, you have family that are from, you know, your parents, like, you know, the country back home. So sometimes you feel like you're not enough for different reasons, whether it's because you don't speak the language, you don't act the same way that your specific culture acts, or even some people in the conversation were talking about, oh, like, I don't know how to dance, I don't know how to dance bachata. Sometimes when I go to family events, like, I'm always made fun of for that. So like different topics like that was talking about how sometimes you don't feel like you're enough of your culture because of how society makes you feel, or even your friends and family, right?
Yeah. So that was one of the topics we talked about, and it was just on par with some of the things I like to talk about. So, you know, I decided why not become a member and, you know, facilitate these conversations as well, which made me join.
Have y'all done any conversations this semester so far?
So every event that we do is like a main event, and then we always, like Sam mentioned, we always find a way to incorporate a deeper dialogue into it. Like our vision board party, one of the themes was how are we breaking generational traumas in our household. Some people mentioned like going to the gym, mental health. A few people mentioned like being the first to graduate in college and stuff like that.
I definitely can't take that title. I wish I could, but can't take that title. My sister was the first.
But you're still considered first generation.
I don't really consider it because I have two siblings that graduated.
I feel like
And then I have one in college right now. So I feel like when I graduate, it's like I'm gonna be the fourth person.
That's true. But like in the dictionary, who they consider is like, if your parents didn't finish college, you're the first generation.
I know they consider it by that definition, but because I already had siblings that
that's
graduated,
true.
it's like I had that advantage because I could easily go to them about
true,
college
that's
and what was going on. So I didn't feel like that's why anytime like the first generation thing, I don't ever feel like I'm a first generation because it's like I'm not the first person in college. I'm gonna be the fourth person to graduate by the time I'm good. I saw how you were able to do that in the Diaspora Fest. We brought the panel with Dean Santana, Dean Escalon, and Professor Miller, and we had that conversation and everything. So I saw that aspect of how it was overall a fun event, getting to network and to greet people, but it's also serious conversation throughout that event. By the way, y'all run that event like really good. Like I told Joshnelly, but that event was well organized, well thought out. Like everything moved smoothly from the different activities to the transition and everything. Like y'all did y'all thing planning out that event. Y'all did y'all thing. So question number 5: what are some future plans for Dominican Talks? Because I know you'll be graduating this year. So what are the plans after you leave?
So I could talk about like my future plans, and then like I'll pass it over. But so obviously I'm graduating. I do plan on getting my master's, so I'll still be at Rutgers to support Dominican Talks, because we do we're opening our e-board positions today officially, and then already people that are in leadership positions on the team, they're planning to step up or continue on their leadership roles. So in that way we're still going to continue. And then a few people have reached out, especially after Diaspora Fest, like because we had a lot of people come from outside of Rutgers. So a few people reached out and mentioned like wanting to open or start a Dominican Talks at their school. So like continuing to grow. And then like I've been talking to some of our advisors and some of the co-founders of like different ways to grow Dominican Talks outside of college, and how we can continue like the community and the different professional opportunities, because I'm big on professional development and personal development, and like all of the co-founders like in one way or another are big on that. So like Narali Moda, she is a marketing major, and like she does like influencing on one aspect, and she works with a lot of brands. So she's always been big on like networking. And one of our other co-founders, Jennifer Made, she's in getting her PhD, but she has started like over like I would say 10 different organizations. So she's big on like entrepreneurship, but she's really big mostly on giving back to the community, because I wasn't raised in Newark. She was one that was raised in Newark, so she's really, really big on like community service, giving back to the community. So she's like always raising money for students in Newark. Right now, she's raising money for some of the young boys in Newark to go to the fight. I know you posted about
District
that.
Court students are fighting. She's raising money for boys in Newark to go see it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like to continue like the community and the network and the different opportunities outside, like once we all graduate.
So yeah, I see the future of Dominican Talks growing, right? I think it can be a huge organization on campus, and I think it can continue creating an impact, right? Like balancing that aspect of enjoying your time while you're on campus, as well as taking away something from that, right? And I think that's what we tried to do at the Asperfest was come enjoy your time, but also come learn something, come network, come support a vendor, right? And those in the community. And so that's what I continue seeing. That's what I see Dominican Talks continuing to do, is create that sense of community, of support, and I can just see it taking over, whether it just be Rugers-Newark or other campuses as we are in the talks of doing. So, it's gonna be good.
Yeah, I'm about to be doing big things.
And then I was gonna pass it over to y'all since you guys will be here and like,
Yeah. So, for the future of Dominican Talks, I definitely know that because I'm obviously gonna be continuing with Dominican Talks. Like I found a home within this organization, and I've said that to Joshnelly and to Ryan multiple times. I want Dominican Talks to just be an organization that people aren't surprised to hear about on a campus. Because when I first found out about it, I was like, oh, I didn't know that this was a thing on campus, an organization for students of color to come together and meet and talk about certain things. So I want Dominican Talks to be this really big thing on campus that people are oh wow, Dominican Talks is doing an event, we gotta go. So I want Dominican Talks to continue growing, not just within Rugers-Newark, but I want expansion. I want it to get bigger. I would love for this organization to go to different schools because I think it's something so healthy and so necessary to have on college campuses, because sometimes on other spaces you don't feel safe enough to engage in the conversations that we engage in. Fostering community is one of our biggest things, so why shouldn't we be able to talk about taboo topics? So I think that growth is the next big thing for Dominican Talks.
And now definitely, as everyone here said, I definitely see Dominican Talks getting bigger and bigger. Definitely only going up from here.
And Ryan, you spoke about impact, which leads to my sixth question. What impact are you trying to leave on the students, workers, but also people of color?
Oh yeah, I can start. So, like I said, the impact is one, self-awareness. A lot of the times, people don't really know who they are, and that's not their fault, right? A lot of things are social constructs, and so Dominican Talks is just a way for people to learn more about themselves, right? So just to give you background, when they were talking about colorism, they're talking about different issues that go on in the Caribbean. I'm Guyanese, right? Shout out to Guyana. And so we're in South America, right? So we're in Latin America, but we're an English-speaking country. Well, we're also a Caribbean country, but not an island. So we're just a mix of different things, filled with Africans, Indians, Europeans, Native folks, right? And so the impact is that you leave that country not knowing who you are. You see a box that you have to check, and you're like, I'm about to just check off all of the above. What really am I, right? And so the impact is one, self-awareness, right? Getting to know yourself better. But two is learning how to connect with others, right? Because problem is we're so focused on our unique experiences, and this is what Dean Esron was talking about at the Asperfest. We're all so indulged in our own experience that we're unable to see how we connect. Because we're I go through this, right? You will never be able to relate. And you're I go through this, you'll never be able to relate. Instead of saying, here's how we do relate, right? In the small instances that we do, how can we unite those experiences for a greater good, right? And so that's another thing is Dominican Talks is Dominican based, but not Dominican exclusive, right? And so I found that a lot of the things I go through, they were talking about the same things. And I'm like, wow, it's so crazy how you're talking about this in the context of an entirely different country, yet I can relate, right? And so bringing people together, and then 3, just having fun, right? We're at college, you know, we're not here to just go to class, study, and leave. Right? We're also here to enjoy our time, right? At the end of the day, when you go home, you want to be happy, right? And so Dominican Talks creates that space for people to be happy, for people to enjoy their time, listen to good music, right? Feel free to be who you are, right, in that space. And lastly is to develop yourself professionally, but also network with others, right? I bring a set of expertise that nobody else here does. You all bring a set of expertise that I definitely can't, right? And so networking and seeing how we can help each other to, you know, like I said, for a greater good and for a good outcome.
I would just piggyback on what Ryan was saying. Oh, what happened? So I feel like you mentioned especially like bringing communities together. So even that, like when we first started, it was like amongst Dominicans, like, and even with those beginning conversations, like, and like Ryan, you mentioned, you were like, oh, like a lot of the conversations intertwine, and that's really, really important because like sometimes, especially depending on how you look, and you know, Dominican, we come from African roots, Spaniard roots, indigenous roots, so we all look different. And with that being said, sometimes like people, it was like what you were saying earlier, like feeling like you're too black for the whites and then too like white for the black people, and like finding that middle ground, because oftentimes in black communities, like because of like oppression Olympics, because of like colorism Olympics, people are always trying to find different ways that they might not be the same, where instead we should be looking for ways to unite and look for how we're so similar. And like you mentioned it, like when we have those conversations, you realize like, oh wow, like we are so similar. And even in the conversation Ryan mentioned, the are you Latin, are you roots, are you Latinx enough? And oftentimes, like in high school, I often felt like I didn't relate to other people from South America, because you know, Dominicans is in the Caribbean, so I feel like we have a different experience sometimes. And I always felt like, oh, I don't really relate to the South American experience, especially like when you compare it to like television shows like Telemundo, Univision, which are popular TV shows in Hispanic households, and they were always like putting people that didn't look like Dominicans. So through the conversation, the Are You Roots event, a lot of like Colombians, Ecuadorians, Salvadorians also spoke about their experience, and it was really similar to the Dominican experience, and that was also something I wasn't really aware about. But back to like the impact, for me it really is those 3 pillars. Embracing also means like learning more about our culture, but also embracing traditions, especially as we continue to grow generation and generation outside of our main country. So like regardless of where you're from, once your family comes, like you lose a little bit of the language, you lose a little bit of the like traditions, and you lose a little bit about who your ancestors were. So like continuing to embrace that. And then empowering, I feel like oftentimes like either you're in the humanities, or you're like, or more so like you're in the public sector, or you're in the for-profit. And like with me, I have a major in public administration, and then I have a minor in entrepreneurship, and I often feel like sometimes people don't realize that the 2 worlds can come together. And that's what I mean by like empowering, because I feel like, you know, even though we do have these discussions, we always try to like put people onto different opportunities, and it like encourage the importance of networking, because like Ryan was saying, like through knowing yourself, the more you know yourself, the better you'll be able to operate in the world, and the more you connect with others, you'll be able to say, oh, like I connected with you, I didn't really think we were gonna be able to connect later in life, but now I see that, you know, you're doing something that I'm interested in, like how can we connect? And then back to the 3rd pillar, which is fostering community, so continuing to build a community, especially for people of color, but also for commuters. Like a lot of the people that join Dominican Talks is because it's really, really hard on this campus because it's mostly commuters for you to find your people. And it's really sad. And especially after COVID, I feel like things have gone down in terms of like the experience on college. But that's why I'm happy, like Ryan mentioned it. He was like, sometimes you just go from class back home. And like I always say, like college, the paper is really nothing. Like, because they don't even ask you for your paper when you get out of college. They don't ask you for your diploma. They don't ask you to see if you really graduated. It's really the only thing you have left is the connections you made and what you were able to, you know, take from college. So networking and building community is really, really important. But I'll pass it over to y'all.
I just want to touch on what Ryan said earlier about Dominican Talks being Dominican-based, not Dominican exclusive, because that is a big part of what we do. A lot of our guests at some of our events aren't even Dominican. We have a lot of people from like regular other parts of the Caribbean, like black people, and just me myself, I'm Haitian. So being a Haitian in Dominican organization was already some people a conflict. My parents didn't. They were a little taken aback at first, but really when I started telling them like the conversations are really the same, and you can really see that Haitians, Dominicans, they seem so different. They have so much going between them, but at the root of it, the conversations we have are so similar. Like what Joshnelly was talking about, you seeing things, you not being cultured enough or something like that. I can't do the cultural dances. I can't speak the language as well as I'd hope to. And you really see this exact same reactions. Yeah, people put you down a little bit. Cultures are they're so different, but they're so the same. And it's really a big part because when we take people and bring them together in that same room to have that conversation, we can really help to see that, and it's kind of inspiring.
Okay. So again, going back to like the whole like, you know, being a commuter, like I said before, like I'm a commuter and I was very much just go to class, go home, go to work, rinse and repeat every single day, every single semester. So I was going to end up leaving college if I didn't join an organization with just like a paper, like no connections, no one in my network. Like I would have had to work my way up, which would have made things a lot harder. So like I feel like if you're a commuter, you know, join an organization, like that's the biggest thing. You know, you want to leave here with connections, not just professional connections, but personal ones too. You don't want to leave college and just be like, okay, I just went for my degree and like that was that, and get anything out of school. So I think that for our impact, like we want to continue networking and doing things so that people can network personally, professionally. You know, we want people to come to our events and have fun and learn about certain things that they may not have known about or you know, haven't spoken about within their own homes.
Honestly, I really love Dominican Talks. I'm not really sure how I found out about the organization, probably flyers, social media, something like that. But I really love the organization because just coming together to just have a conversation and be able to have fun, it's such an amazing thing. I know especially after the pandemic and everything going crazy and everybody kind of like to themselves and everything, but we have an organization where people are able to come together, have an honest conversation and really have fun, and I've definitely like seen the impact. Like, so thank you guys so much for honestly being here and just coming onto my channel and everything. It was really amazing to interview the Dominican Talks. I don't know why I'm struggling saying that. It was honestly amazing to interview you guys. I really love the impact that you guys are having on campus. We're bringing different organizations together. We're being a Dominican-based but not Dominican-excluded organization, which is honestly amazing and everything. I'm going to give you your flowers, Joshnelly, because I know you're going to be leaving in a couple of months and everything. Thank you so much for bringing such an amazing organization. Next semester when I'm on board, I'll really be happy to work with you guys and just be a part of this organization, be a part of the continuous impact that they're trying to have. So thank you guys so much for coming along on this episode. I appreciate you guys' time, appreciate you guys for being here. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. This is motivation for young Christians. I'll see you guys.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video, guys. Thank you. Thank you guys so much for coming back. If you haven't already, like the video, subscribe if you're new. Please turn on your post notification. That way, anytime I upload, YouTube will send you a notification. This is Motivation for Young Christian by Esron Holder. I'll see you guys in the next video.